Vine stood in her dimly lit apartment staring at the clock. The seconds ticked by with an agonizing slowness. And her heart sank a little deeper with each passing moment. The beautifully decorated table was set for two. Complete with candles, her favorite dishes, and the cake she'd spent hours picking out. Yet Taehyung was nowhere to be seen. She glanced at her phone for what felt like the hundredth time. No calls, no texts, just an empty notification screen that mocked her patience. It's okay, she whispered to herself, forcing a smile. He's probably stuck in traffic. He'll be here any minute. But the minutes stretched into hours, and her hope dwindled. To distract herself, Vine grabbed her phone and aimlessly scrolled through Instagram. Her thumb froze mid swipe when she saw his story. There he was, Kim Tae Hyung standing beside his business partner. They were at a lavish party, surrounded by people dressed to impress. Laughter and clinking glasses filled the video. Taehyung's deep voice resonated as he wished Jia a happy birthday, the words cutting through wine like shards of glass. Her heart clenched painfully. He hadn't even remembered her birthday. Tears blurred her vision as she slammed her phone onto the table, the sound echoing in the silence of the room. The realization hit her like a freight train. He had chosen someone else over her, on her special day, no less. Van stormed out of the apartment. She couldn't sit there any longer, suffocating in the weight of her own heartbreak. The cool night air brushed against her face as she wandered aimlessly through the city streets. Her feet carried her without direction until she found herself near the beach. The sounds of waves crashing against the shore was oddly comforting, offering a temporary reprieve from her swirling thoughts. As she walked along the sand, her eyes caught sight of a small, flickering light in the distance. Curiosity piqued, she moved closer. A young man was seated on a blanket, a tiny cake with a single candle in front of him. He looked up as she approached, his doe eyes wide with surprise. The man replied with a shy smile, I just wasn't expecting company. She hesitated, but his gentle demeanor encouraged her to say, are you celebrating alone? He nodded, looking a little embarrassed. Yeah, it's my birthday, but I don't really have anyone to celebrate with. Vine's heart softened. There was a vulnerability in his voice that mirrored her own feelings. It's your birthday too? She asked, surprised. A sad smile tugged at her lips. Yeah, it's my birthday as well. The man's face lit up with genuine excitement. Really? That's crazy. Two strangers with the same birthday meeting like this. It's fate. She chuckled softly. Maybe it is. By the way, I'm Jungkook, he said, extending a hand. Fine, she replied, shaking it. Jungkook gestured to the cake. Do you maybe want to celebrate together? It's not much, but Vian's heart warmed at his sincerity. I'd love to. The two of them sat on the blanket, sharing the tiny cake. Jungkook's childlike enthusiasm was infectious, and for the first time that night, Vian felt herself truly smiling. Why are you alone on your birthday? He asked between bites. Vian hesitated, unsure if she should share her story, but something about Jungkook's earnest gaze made her feel safe. Jungkook frowned, his brows knitting together in concern. That's awful. You deserve better than that. Wine shrugged, trying to mask the hurt. I guess I wasn't important enough for him. That's not true, Jungkook said firmly. Anyone would be lucky to have you in their life. His words caught her off guard, and a lump formed in her throat. Thank you, she whispered. What about you? She asked, eager to change the subject. Why are you celebrating alone? Jungkook scratched the back of his neck, looking a little sheepish. I just moved here a few months ago and I haven't really met any friends, so I figured I'd celebrate on my own. Well, you're not alone anymore, Ryan said with a smile. We're celebrating together now. Hours passed as they talked and laughed, sharing stories and learning about each other. For the first time in what felt like forever, Ryan felt genuine connection with someone. As the night grew colder, Jungkook draped his jacket over her shoulders. Can't have you freezing on your birthday, he said with a playful grin. Thanks, she replied, touched by the gesture. They sat in comfortable silence, watching the waves under the moonlight. One couldn't help but think about how different this night could have been if Taehyung had showed up. She would never have met Jungkook. And while the pain of his betrayal still lingered, she was grateful for this unexpected encounter. Meanwhile, Taehyung stood in his apartment staring at the table Wine had meticulously set. Guilt gnawed at him as he realized how much effort she had put into making this day special. He checked his phone and saw the countless missed calls and texts from her. His chest tightened with regret. How could he have been so careless? He decided to wait for her return. After an hour or so, Wine unlocked the apartment door. Jungkook's jacket still draped over her shoulders. The warmth of the fabric was comforting, a quiet reminder of the unexpected kindness she'd encountered that night. She stepped inside, her heart heavy, but her mind calmer than it had been hours ago. She froze when she saw Taehyung sitting on the couch, his head buried in his hands. He looked up as the door clicked shut, his face a mixture of relief and regret. Ryan, he breathed, standing up. I've been waiting for you. His eyes landed on the jacket. The warmth in his expression turned cold, his brows furrowing in suspicion. Whose jacket is that? He asked, his voice sharp. Wine glanced down at the jacket, suddenly aware of its presence. It's Jungkook's, she replied casually, moving past him towards the kitchen. Jungkook, Taehyung followed her, his tone demanding. Who the hell is Jungkook? She set her bag on the counter, refusing to meet his gaze. Just someone I met tonight. He was celebrating his birthday alone, so we celebrated together. Taehyung's jaw tightened, his hands clenching into fists. You spent your birthday with a stranger while I was here waiting for you? Wine turned to face him, her eyes blazing with anger. Waiting for me. You were at Gia's party. Taehyung, don't act like you were here all night worried about me. I came back as soon as I realized my mistake, he shot back. But instead of being here, you were out with some random guy wearing his jacket. She laughed bitterly, the sound laced with pain. Don't you dare try to turn this on me. I waited for hours, Taehyung. Hours. And where were you? At a party celebrating someone else's birthday while you forgot about mine. I didn't forget, he said, his voice rising. You just what? She interrupted. Got too caught up with Gia to remember the person who was supposed to mean something to you. You prioritized her over me. On my birthday. He opened his mouth to argue but then hesitated, the weight of her words sinking in. I made a mistake, he said, his voice softer now. But this thing with Jungkook, it doesn't sit right with me. Ryan's eyes narrowed. The audacity to say this when you had your arms around some other girl doesn't sit right with me either. The tension between them was palpable, the air thick with unspoken emotions. Taehyung's gaze flickered to the jacket again, his expression hardening. You know what? He said, stepping back. Maybe I should go. Clearly, you've already found someone better to celebrate with. Wan stared at him with disbelief in her eyes. What? She said, but it came out like a whisper as if questioning her own choices. Taehyung sighed in frustration at her words, but he didn't respond. Instead, he grabbed his coat and walked out, slamming the door behind him. Vine stood there for a moment, her chest heaving as she tried to calm the storm of emotions raging inside her. Slowly, she slipped off Jungkook's jacket and hung it over a chair. She sat down at the table, staring at the half melted candles on the untouched cake. For the first time in years, she blew them out alone, wishing for a strength she wasn't sure she had. Hey guys, this is it for the part 1 of this series. Let me know if I should make another part of this. And if you enjoyed, like, share, comment, subscribe. Let me know what you think about it till now and what should happen next. I will be more than happy to read your comments. Also, if you want, you can follow me on Instagram at lustrusffs. And yeah, thank you so much for watching. I will see you in the next video. Till then, bye bye.